So we're here to talk about giving young people the soft skills, or employability skills as they're called these days, that they need to be successful in the workplace.
Learndirect is an organisation that works with large numbers of adults and young people who are either leaving school, entering the workforce, or are maybe out of work for a long time seeking to enter the workforce. We also work with a lot of employers on helping them develop their programmes for leadership and development.
The grads that we tended to hire were from private schools, and then the state schools weren't catered for. I'm wondering whether there's still that imbalance between the schools. So you're talking about it very generally, but I think there's, depends on location, depends on, whether you have one parent, two parents, what their jobs are, what their backgrounds are, and what school you end up in.
Attitudes and behaviours are absolutely crucial. Skills can be acquired through time. Yeah, if you do something enough times, you acquire a skill. But it's about the motivation, the attitude of that individual, the drive, if you like, to succeed within whatever business that is.
There's a bit of a fixation that if you don't get your A to C, you're a failure.
You're a failure, yeah.
And starting to my big concern at the moment is starting to translate into recruitment practices. You're starting to see more and more apprenticeships requiring an A to C maths and English just to get into an apprenticeship.
A lot of businesses have an ageing workforce. A lot of businesses have a workforce that's moving towards retirement. If you're not replenishing the skills and building up a talent pipeline to fill those jobs, then you're going to have a real challenge surviving as a business.
When I talk about apprenticeship schemes, I hear a lot about brand protection. I hear a lot about high-level corporate issues and making sure that that's reflective throughout the programmes. I don't always hear about the quality of the content of the apprenticeship or what they're going to do with the people who come out of those apprenticeships.
If somebody has been good on their work experience and they've been particularly good on those skills, how are those things being recognised so that we don't have this sort of I can't do this, I can do that mentality? How are those things starting to be recognised?
It's not the job of schools to create oven-ready young people for the workplace, but obviously we want to see more employers involved in schools and education. If there's no tradition of getting up to work, putting yourself smart within the family giving them confidence, actually, and we have a real problem in our society of that division growing.
But increasingly it's more about how you are, because the ability stuff you can learn. So I think that's one thing. But something that really resonated as you were speaking, Martin, was and actually picking up on your point around can't change the whole thing. I have this kind of naive belief you probably can, but the naive belief comes from the only way to tackle that is to kind of be the change you want to create.
Yeah. For me, it's around sort of attitudes, behaviours, skills and knowledge to formulate a complete package.
An apprenticeship should be about a new job and a new role for someone who was not in that job before.
It sounds like a lot has really shifted in the past few years. We're sort of talking about what do we need to do next, but I guess if we wind the clock back, there's so many things that have been said that are happening now that 5 years ago wouldn't have been. What I'm wondering is, do enough people know about what's already happening and how can we profile that? Because I think that's the kind of thing that gives confidence.
Young people like to learn using technology. It gives them a certain amount of privacy in the way they can learn. It motivates them, it puts them at the heart of learning. And they're used to now being consumers. So it gives us a different model for learning. And what we know is that's how young people live their lives. So if we can make learning work in that way for them, then it gives us new ways and new motivational ways to get young people involved in learning and in learning to work.